We have a quorum and we probably should get to work. So I will call us to order. And first item on the agenda is a long list of minutes, most of which have been accepted, but I guess we have to decide not to release them at the moment.
And I think at this moment, the reason for going into the executive session still exists. It has not expired. We haven't heard anything more, but so I think the board is safe in voting that they not release the minutes.
So you want to take individual motions on these? The February 11th, can I have a motion to not release?
So moved. Strange.
Second, Hands.
Okay, and we'll just go by voice vote. Lee, aye. Hands?
Aye.
Francesco?
Aye.
Nadine?
Aye.
Strange?
Strange, aye.
Varela?
Aye.
And Dennis?
I'll abstain because I'm not sure what we're voting on.
Okay.
I just admitted Dennis into the room.
Ah, thank you.
Jim and Stephanie, do we need to be reciting the reasons we're having a Zoom meeting rather than an in-person meeting?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Jim, do you have that on your agenda?
And we are supposed to do a roll call.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I do not have that on my agenda, but I can probably get it on my phone. Let's see.
If you don't have it, if one of the other
I have it.
members have it, I think it would be okay for you to
Okay.
authorize Carol to read it.
Sure.
Yes, Carol, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Remote meeting procedures. In keeping with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law by Governor Baker on June 16th, 2021, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board/commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on ECAT. This next paragraph says to use Zoom, you'll need to use the link on the agenda or download the Zoom application at www.zoom.us and create an account or use one of the call-in numbers listed on the agenda. You will need the webinar ID to join by phone only. While conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. However, use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. Would you like me to read all 7 of them?
Stephanie, is that necessary? She must be off.
Okay.
Typically what we do at planning, not to interrupt, is just tell how people have to announce themselves and get
Right.
access, and they can get the rest on the agenda online.
Yeah, like a quick summary of the remaining items. You don't have to read each one individually.
Okay, let's see if I can get back to them. Okay, here we go. While the board members or commissioners and applicants will be on video and audio, the public participants will join the webinar as attendee, meaning they are muted and with no video feed from them. During the public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raise their hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request with the Q&A function. If you're joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. If an applicant wishes to display materials, please make the request of the chair and the email materials to board staff for sharing on screen. When starting testimony, please state your name and address for the record. There is a markup function in Zoom which will allow you to call out specific areas of presentation materials. As in any public meeting, indecent behavior will not be tolerated, and anyone who abuses use of the meeting platform will be terminated from the meeting. Number 5, business will be handled at the times indicated on the agenda. Business not concluded in the allotted time will be tabled to the end of the meeting to allow for timely logins and remote attendance. 6, board members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and seconds so that it will be clear to the audience and minute takers who made motions. All votes will be by roll call. 7, when all business indicated on the agenda has been completed, the members will vote to adjourn the meetings, signaling the end of the meeting and the termination of the ECAT recording. All participants will be disconnected from the webinar at that time. Applicants will join the webinar as an attendee and promoted to panelists at their agenda item. Applicants will then be able to share their screens and present their materials. As much as possible, presentation materials should be provided beforehand and loaded in Permit-I so that materials can be included in the public record. Individual board chairs and staff may wish to keep screen sharing to their computer. Applicants are encouraged to speak with staff prior to the meeting on how material will be presented. The end.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Okay. With that, we can return to the March 18th executive session minutes. I have a motion to hold those, please.
Move it.
Second, hands.
Okay. Lei, Hands,
Aye.
Ventresco,
Aye.
Lundin,
Aye.
Strange,
Strange eye.
Barella,
Aye.
Sheedy,
Aye.
oh, and Keach.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so we have April 8th executive session meeting not to be released. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Hands.
Okay, who was the move?
Give it to Ed. He said his name.
Okay, thank you. Lei, Hands,
Aye.
Ventresco,
Aye.
Lundin,
Aye.
Strange,
Strange eye.
Barella,
Aye.
Sheedy,
Aye.
Keach.
Aye.
Thank you. And now we have the May 13th regular session meeting minutes. Are there, could I have a motion to accept, please? And release?
So moved. Strange.
Second,
Strange. Okay, second was Keach. All right. Discussion, any changes to those minutes? Hearing none. Lei, Hands,
aye.
Ventresco,
Aye.
Lundin,
Abstain.
Strange,
Strange eye.
Barella,
Aye.
Sheedy,
Aye.
Keach.
Aye.
Thank you. And there was nothing for the June 10th meeting since there wasn't a June 10th meeting. We've done that housekeeping. So we have an update on the town hall restoration.
Yes, there was a kickoff meeting today with, Ed and I both participated in the designer
Selection.
process. Thank you, Ed. And Spencer was selected, Lynn Spencer, who has done work with Oaks Ames Memorial Hall in the past. They had a kickoff meeting today with members of town staff that will be working and closely overseeing the project, which included Dave Field, the assistant town engineer, Greg Swan, Kevin Griner, myself, and Connor. So that project, they will complete their design work and go out to bid. Part of that includes putting together and preparing the bid documents. They're planning on going out to bid in August and then making a selection towards the end of the year. So I just want to let people know that that is moving forward. We did receive, this is unrelated to the CPA side, but Wayne had submitted an application for I think it's called an MPPF grant. It's from Mass Historical for $50,000 for part of the work. It's a matching grant, so the CPA funds help match that. More importantly, because Mass Historical awards this grant, they also will hold the the preservation restriction on the town offices. And I think Wayne has mentioned in the past that it's kind of difficult to find someone to hold that. He had been talking with the Historical Society and seemed to get a response that maybe they'd be interested, but there were a lot of questions, and it really is just easier to have Mass Historical do that. So there was a meeting today with the recipients with Mass Historical that Wayne, in spite of being on vacation, participated in, and Lynn Spencer as the designer, and also will be overseeing the project, was on hand for that.
Stephanie, can I just make a suggestion to make sure the historical commission is kept in the loop?
We talked about that today, and they brought that up. So the thought was, and I already sent an email to Wayne, kind of reminding him that when they get their design documents done, that they share those with the Historical Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions to Stephanie?
Yes, I have a question, Stephanie. The design documents you just mentioned, are those a matter of public record? Will they be available to anyone?
Yes, because they'll be part of the bid package in the bid document.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm learning all about the bid process, construction bid process, which you'll find out more about in just a second.
Right. Any more questions? If not, it's just a second. So Stephanie, why don't you continue with the Unionville Field Revitalization Update?
Yes, so this is otherwise known as the pickleball courts. That was approved at annual town meeting for funding up to $320,000. We contracted with J.K. Holmgren's office to do the bid design documents and prepare all the bid package. Those went out. They were due back on the 29th of June. We received 2 bids. We opened them. Both bids came in over the allotted award amount. So the low bid came in just over $450,000, and the high bid came in around $750,000. So we yeah, I see Meredith's face.
I'm with you, Meredith.
That's called throw it at the wall and see if it sticks, because the economy's booming.
Yeah,
I'll teach you that as you learn the bid process.
yeah. No, we believe it has to do with exactly that. You know, maybe the inflated prices in construction materials that we're seeing now, but it does seem a little bit more than that. So the bid was not awarded. We notified the bidders that it was over budget and that it would be reconsidered, and at some point we will probably go back out to bid. So I contacted Ann Daly. I shared the information with Bob Benton because, again, this project was put forth by the Recreation Commission. I believe they're going to discuss what the next step should be at their meeting on the 20th of July.
Stephanie, just out of curiosity, could I see, you said the second bid was $750,000?
Yes,
Did I hear that right?
yes.
Do we have access to seeing what that It was all from the original plan? So nothing deviated from that?
No, there was a couple of changes. We did receive some feedback from a couple of members of the pickleball community. And we made some changes to the plan, but those weren't where the substantial costs were. And there was a great, and so the short answer to your question is, John, yes, we can share those. Again, those are public documents at this point. There were some major differences. I mean, there was a huge difference between the low bidder and the high bidder on demolition and mobilization. It's significant. So there were areas where you saw charges, the cost of manhole covers for the drainage system in the catch basins. The high bidder was very, very high, very far off. And then, there were a couple of other areas where the low bidder was higher. And then the rest of the costs, there wasn't such a huge difference in the costs.
Yeah, this is to amaze me, these figures. I just shake my head every day. Like,
Well, we have a capitalist economy, so our system, that's the way it is. And I'm assuming at some point that, so when I look at all these members of the pickleball community online right now, that I wonder if a request is going to come back to up it. So I think it would be wise for the bid documents or the bids and the documents to be released to this board so that we can review them.
Yeah, I can share those.
And I wouldn't read too much, for what it's worth. I wouldn't read too much into differences between the prices, because this is, you guys have heard me wax poetic on this, or maybe not so poetic, but that's what happens with public bidding. Someone looks, right, you know what, we don't really have time for that job, but it's a municipal job, throw another, go high. I'm not saying that's what the second bidder did, but see if you get it. That's very, very common, these things. That's why municipal jobs cost, or jobs done through towns cost 300 to 600% more than the market. Doesn't make people bad. It's just
full agreement with you, Greg.
That's our market economy.
And I've had a couple conversations with Dick Kelly and Chuck Kramer, who are attending the meeting tonight. And they're talking about looking, and again, they need to work with the Rec Commission, but where there might be some elements of the project that aren't core to playing pickleball that could be eliminated. So rather than just outright ask for more money, look at where they can reduce the cost.
Thank you for the update. And again, our role in this is right now to wait. We have no action to take. This is really up to the Rec Commission, who is the requester of the funds, to figure out what to do next. So any other questions or issues?
Yeah, I've got a question, and I still question the initial size of the project. I spend a little time every day across the street from the Unionville playground. Until a month ago, I spent time every day at Frothingham Park. And with the use of the Frothingham Park courts, I don't see the use of the Unionville courts. My question is, and I'm not anti-pickleball, is it possible to phase the project where we add, have the Rec Commission suggest 3 courts instead of 6, with the stipulation that we could add 3 other courts when funds become available, just so the project could go ahead?
I don't see why not. And that's something Ann and I talked about briefly, that, again, maybe there was some amenities. The project called for a concrete pad with a canopy and a bench to provide shade access. I mean, that could be something that might be cut. But, reducing the size of the court, the number of the courts at this time, but with an understanding that there may be they may be adding more in the future, because you want to make sure you're not, the way it's designed, you're not precluding adding those
Right.
additional words.
If I may, I just think it's important to note that, using your example, Ed, to cut the project in half doesn't necessarily mean, in fact, guarantee it wouldn't mean that in the future, it would cost a lot more to do it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You're not going to save any money.
As I said that, Greg, about your recommendations regarding Oaks Ames Memorial Hall, rather than do a project piecemeal, you do it completely. That's always a good point, but let's look into it.
Yeah, and I think it would be a good exercise for this board. Not everybody's versed, I understand, in construction bidding and documenting, but I've been advocating for a while that we get more involved in things, not outside of our purview, but I think by seeing the bids, the documents, we can help educate ourselves and looking at the process, so that going forward on other projects, we can ask more, more educated questions. We can look at the project, and who knows, more eyes on something very often leads to an abundance of solutions, a little brainstorming. So that's on my only comment.
I agree, Greg. Thank you. Okay.
Just real quick, rec meets on the 20th of July, so I'll be able to report
Okay.
after that meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We look forward to that.
I told Ann I'd be on hand. I don't expect to necessarily speak, but if there are questions about the bids or the bid process, I can talk to that.
Okay. We await to hear from that outcome. Thank you. Okay, we have dealt with the business that was on the agenda. Is there any other business we need to talk about before we move to executive session? If not, that requires that there be a motion to move to executive session, not to return to regular session. And admitting Stephanie and anyone else appropriate.
And at this point, there is no one else.
No one else? Okay. So just be Stephanie. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to move.
Want the clerk there?
Oh, and the clerk, sorry.
We have a question from
Mr.
Bert Lewis, who's asking to speak on the previous issue, I would imagine.
Do you see,
All right.
I see a hand raised?
He came up on my screen.
Yeah, it came up mine too.
In the chat.
Okay. I will admit Bert Lewis.
Just a second. Bert needs to unmute himself.
Hello, Bert. I cannot hear you.
There we go.
All right. Can you hear us, Bert?
We cannot hear you.
No, we cannot hear you, Bert.
Are you connected to your computer's audio? And
Bottom left should have an unmute button.
yeah, he's unmuted, it appears. Now he's muted again.
I think it's that he doesn't have audio turned on.
Anybody trained in reading lips?
I just sent him a message in chat. He
You
sent
have to share that. It's a public meeting,
Yep. He sent a message to everyone in chat. He said, "Can we speak?" And okay, he said Dick or Kelly would like to speak.
Okay, that would be fine.
So Dick, you just need to unmute yourself.
Hello? Dick, are you there?
I don't know, can you hear me? Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yes. You can also turn your video on if you wish.
Hang on. Mhm. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good.
So please go ahead.
Well, I don't know who said for me to speak, but we're working on it. We're going to work with the engineers, and we have a lot of things we can eliminate, I think, and still go forward. I'd like to keep all 6 courts, like you said. If you build half now and half later, it's going to cost you a lot more money in the end. And you really need all 6 courts. So hopefully we can find some way of getting it done. If it means, you know, if it doesn't get done this year, then we'll have to see if we can get it done for next year.
Dick, the clerk has asked if you could please identify yourself for the record
Oh, Dick Kelly.
and
Well,
who you're representing,
Excuse me?
who you're representing, where you live and who you're representing.
Oh, I live in Easton, 4 Alfred Road in Easton, and I'm part of the pickleball group.
Okay. And you will be working with the Rec Commission on this, I assume?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And again, that's where the action has to take place at this time, is that they need to amend this process, which would then, I believe, have to go out again for bids if the proposal is amended. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So we will be updated after the July 20th meeting of the Rec Commission. Is there anything else that we can help you with?
Nope, I don't think so.
I actually have a
I'll be
question.
at the meeting.
I actually have a question. Has there been any other sources that you've gone after to add to this mix of CPA funding? Maybe through fundraising or donations or naming rights? I'm just throwing out a couple just to.
We've
Come
done
up
some of that.
I'm sorry?
We have done some of that.
Yeah.
We've got about $8,500 now. But
Okay.
I suppose we can go after some more money, but most of the towns, a lot of the businesses have been notified in the town. But I suppose that's a possibility.
Yeah, I know naming rights seems to be a popular item. I don't know if we could, you know, we seem to always go after, unfortunately, the heavy hitters. If I,
You say naming rights, can we put a sign up, okay, with the
Mm,
name on it?
yeah,
It's okay?
Well, I would think you need to talk to the Rec Commission about that. I don't know why they would. might have-
Naming has to go to the select board. There's precedents for that.
I would assume so.
That's right, for naming rights, if you're going to name the field after it.
Yeah, we can check into it.
Okay.
Dick, I'm optimistic that we'll get this figured out. It's a stumbling block, and I'm not surprised in the least, given construction costs and labor costs right now to do absolutely anything. And we may see those costs go down anyway, but if we can kind of partition out the pieces of the park there and do a determination to see what we can get started on at a reasonable rate, and then add to it. I think that the second proposal is preposterous, and you know, maybe there are others that might bid on the project as well. But we'll work with you. I'll talk to Stephanie either tomorrow or Monday, get my arms around the project once again. in closer detail so I can take a deep dive and be prepared for the meeting on the 20th.
Okay.
Okay.
Can
Thank
I
you.
speak?
Yes. Who?
Please identify yourself for the record.
Thank you. My name's Pat Demore. I live at 5 Miller Road in Easton. This first time with this committee, I'd like to say one of the comments that I heard like from Gregory Strange was, you know, want more hands-on, okay, in projects. Well, Ed Hands mentioned about, you know, cutting courts, you know, kind of thing. I just want to say the growth for pickleball in our town is amazing. At Union Villa, we are giving lessons, so that's why you see one group there. The other courts at Frothingham Park, we have not only all courts used, but we have a waiting list of 30 to 40 people that are lined up against the fence waiting to play, okay, and it's growing. We don't move over to the Union Villa because we don't have enough nets right now, and we'd have to allocate both locations. But I just want to give a hands-on awareness to this committee, which we've been doing with the rec committee, who has worked with us very well. And that we are in Easton is a growing pickleball. I've heard reports that the word is getting out and that other towns are following what we are doing because they themselves will be going along the same path. So I'm just giving you an awareness of the environment because I don't see any of you at my pickleball courts, okay? Thank God for Frothingham for now. But when we do build the new courts at Union Villa, not only the 6 are being planned to use, but the 4, the tennis courts, we could actually take over 4 more. So there'll be 10 courts that will be at use when we get done with this. So right now, the numbers are there of people of interest and growing every day. So I just want to give a heads up. Thank you for listening and moving forward.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, one more try, Bert. Can we hear you? I guess not. Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you for your attendance. Oh, we cannot hear you. I'm sorry, Bert. We could see you.
I actually have a question in between. You know, Pat had just brought up something about Meredith can help me with this. In pickleball courts interchangeable? And if not, she had brought up the idea of that we'd be adding 4 more of the tennis courts. Are we going to, which if they're not interchangeable, are we going to be able, are we knocking out 4 tennis courts completely?
The pickleball courts are not replacing the tennis courts. And when Dick was talking about using, or Pat was talking about using the tennis courts, they, you mark them out for the pickleball court, as I understand it, but they're not converted permanently to pickleball courts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe pickleball court fits on 1/2 of a tennis ball court, and you can move a portable net into that area. It requires some striping, which they do in a different color, but you can have multiple use areas that way.
That's great.
Again, thanks for the visitors, and I'd be happy to see members of the community join us. I'm sorry, Bert, that we couldn't hear you, but thank you for being there. And any other issues before we move to executive session? All right.
Tim, if you want, I'll make the motion for you. Are we going into a separate room though?
Yes, I'll be putting, once we, the vote is made, I will put everyone into the breakout room. So, you know, we've done that before. It takes, you know, about a minute to do.
You do so well with this motion, Dennis. Please.
Claim to fame, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn from regular session, not to reconvene, to have go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. I already said we're not to reconvene in open session, and that we allow Stephanie Danielson and Patricia Howe Dorenzo come into the meeting.
Thank you. Have a
Lundy, second.
Okay. Thank you. Lee, aye. Hands.
Aye.
Ventresco.
Aye.
Lundin.
Aye.
Strange.
And Jai.
Varela.
Aye.
Sheedy.
Aye.
Keach.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Chair, who seconded the motion, please?
Lundin.
Thank you.